Hi, I'm Dave. This is the Cider Baby Pod, and I am speaking to Beat 60 all the way in California. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's
Right,
it going?
guys. I'm good. Would you like to introduce yourselves, your names, what you do, and who Beat 60 are?
Yeah,
Um,
I'm Tom Malkus. I'm the singer and producer for Beat 60. I play some occasional keyboards on our tunes also, and then I'll turn it over to the other guys. They can introduce themselves.
Joel.
I'm Joel Prescott. I'm driving, so I can't give this my full attention, but I'm glad to be here, and I play drums on the Beat 60 record. Yes, sir.
Good. Nice to see you guys. I'm Ray Wolf. I'm the bass player. And Tom was being a little bit, he's also the composer of all these songs. He wrote all these songs, and he's the guy who, not only the lyricist, but the melody, the guy who came up with the tunes. He's the guy who did all that. So
He's the Sting in The Police.
exactly. So
Melodic is a big word for Ray, so
Yeah.
you had trouble getting that one out.
Okay, so we came across each other on Facebook, as you just reminded me, and you were sending me a couple of your songs. Tell me a bit about the album you've produced.
Well, I think I'll start with how we got started because it's kind of interesting to me anyway. I have been writing songs for a number of decades. Tooled around a little bit in a band or two here and there, not much, because I was either in school or having a family and all that stuff. So I just did it a little bit part-time. Then once I had kids, I didn't do it at all. Well, we moved into a neighborhood 3 houses down from Joel, and Joel and I became dog walking friends.
Right.
And I heard a band in his backyard, and I asked him about it one time. He said, "Oh, it was my birthday party. That was my band. We were playing back there for everybody." I said, "Oh, you're in a band? Oh, cool." And so my wife and I went and saw them a few times. Ray was in that band too. And my wife and I went and saw them a few times. And eventually I said to Joel kind of sheepishly, I've got some songs and they're kind of rock and roll, and you guys sound rockish, and you think I could record one with you? And Joel said, I played a little bit for him of what I had, and he goes, yeah, we can try it. And I said, can you get a guitar and a bassist? He says, yeah, for sure. So he got Jeff and Ray to come in, and we went in and started recording. The first song was Disappear.
Yeah.
I only intended at the time to do one, that one just for fun and kicks for me, and to kind of get back into it. My kids were growing up. I wanted to get back into it a little bit. And we recorded the one and started working on it here at my house, filling in all the little production things I wanted to do. And it turned out much better than I ever thought it would. Not because they can't play, they're great players, but I didn't know the song would be any good.
Yeah.
It turned out really good. And so I said, well, great, let's do another one. So it just kind of went on from there. And the idea of it was that we're all classically rock influenced, starting from the Beatles on. So that's kind of the way I write, but I also wanted to put some touches of a few other little touches to it that made it a little bit more modern in some ways, a little alt in different ways. And so we just kept working on it, and finally there were 12 songs. I said, okay, well, might as well compile it into an album. And went from there.
What's the album called?
It's called Starfire Lane. There you go. That's the street Joel and I live on.
Yeah.
And we recorded most of it here. So, and Ray's our PR guy.
Let Ray just hold it up there again and say a few words. What would the
That's
bassist
back.
say that is?
Sorry.
What would the bassist say? There you go.
Oh,
Picture.
well, I don't know where he came up with the name, but the songs on here are obviously very personal to Tom, and he's had them rattling around in his head for a long time, many years, right, Tom? And
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
and the thing that was cool about it is that when we went into pre-production before we started recording anything, it was Tom was very generous, and he had these ideas and he had these melodies, and he would play them pick them out on the piano for us, or just, you know, sing them. And he said, okay, I this is kind of what the song sounds like, but and I also have an idea that it should sound in this genre, or maybe like this other band or something. But he said, whatever you guys want to do is great with me. So it was, as he said, Joel and I have been playing together for years, along with the guitarist Jeff. And so it was easy for us to fall into that thing and find a sound for each one of these songs that was hopefully something that Tom wanted to hear.
Okay. Joel, what are your thoughts?
I totally agree with that. I mean, he let us have free reign. I mean, he has specific ideas, very specific ideas for how he wants it to sound, and his arrangements. It's quite amazing. I mean, I've never met anybody that, I mean, he does let you have free reign, but he's also pretty specific. And then to the point where, like, we'd finish a tune, running it down, and I'd be like, well, that sounds okay. And then we'd go in and record it, and then I'd hear the final mix and all the other parts that would be added post, you know, drums and bass. And it would be like, wow, that song really came alive, you know. And Tom, yeah, he's got a vision for sure that he sees that nobody else does.
Cool. So Tom, it seems like you're not too much of a diva.
Well, I actually was nervous to be around these guys because they've all been playing for 40 years, and they played with some named people, and you know, signed acts and all that stuff, and so I was a little intimidated actually going in, but they were great, and actually they were very humble, all of them, even though they have all this skill and they know what they're doing musically, and pick things up very fast.
Yeah.
Because I could just sometimes just hum a riff to them, and they would just pick it out and go with it, you know. And they were great. They're great guys to work with, because they take your advice really well without an ego about it.
Right.
And also they have great ideas. Ray often would chip in, you know, production ideas, or maybe where to go with a song structurally or something, if the structure wasn't quite right. He's very good at that too. And then Joel, I could just say to him, you know, I want it to sound something kind of like this song, but make it your own, and he would do that. And he would just add his own touches to it, and so it didn't sound like the other song. It sounds like our song, but you know, he had a reference point for some of the tunes. So they were all great. And Jeff, the same thing on guitar. He's not here with us today, but his guitar work was exquisite. And same thing. I could just I could hum a riff to him, or I could say, you know, why don't you play it, you know, up here on the neck or down here on the neck instead? I think that sounds a little better for this tune. And he could switch up and just do it, and not complain about it or get any ego at all. They were all great to work with.
So this is basically a self-financed, self-formulated album you've produced yourselves.
Yes.
Over.
Yes.
When did it come out?
It came out in end of October 2020.
Right.
So last year, end of October. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the plan going forward then?
Well, I'm got a lot of other tunes. I have a basket of tunes and some new ones that I'm working on, and I would love to get started again. COVID has kind of kept us from, getting back close quarters in studios and in my house and things like that to record. So I think, if we're all vaccinated and all of that, we probably could come back in and start recording. And I'd like to start just turning out some singles, not necessarily working on an album.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, the name Beat 60, Ray wasn't sure where it came from, but that came from me in that we were all influenced by the beats of the 60s. So I had that, but also I was approaching 60 years old. And
you don't look a day over
so,
59.
thank you. Well, thanks. My kids don't think that, but that's okay. But yeah, beat 60 is like, beat it. We can still rock out even at this age. So we can beat 60 at any time. You know what I mean? And so it had a couple different meanings to it.
Okie dokie. Ray, you're looking very tired there holding up that CD.
Yeah, that's the most exercise he's had in months.
Hey, it's the most promo we've had with this thing, Evan, isn't it? I mean, that's
Probably.
the thing. Well, that's the thing that, you ask what's next. We're not really sure. I mean, Tom's been experimenting with different ways to promote this particular record and these songs. And he's found some ways to get it to you, and some other internet stations have picked it up. And I think, sure, we'd love to do some more new songs, but there's a bunch of good songs on here that people need to hear. So
okay, well, we shall do our best to spread the word. So how's COVID affected you guys in California? I mean, I think we're heading for another load of restrictions, I think, after Christmas. What about you guys? How's it faring in America?
I don't know about over there, but people don't take too well to this lockdown stuff anymore, and they're actually rebelling against it,
Right.
So I don't know whether that's even something that will take effect anymore. But yes, things have been bad. Of course, last year, starting in mid-March, everything was closed down. All the clubs all the music venues, obviously everything from Broadway to high school productions. There was no entertainment industry for 8 months, over a year, actually, probably. And then things started opening up at limited capacity, at least for me. I'm a club musician by trade. I play as much as I can in bars and nightclubs and whatever. So, and now things have started to open up, but it's not back to normal by any means. And things are worse than ever. More cases, more deaths this year than last year. Okay. It's inexplicable, actually, but so who knows? We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm back to working on a semi-regular basis, and but who knows what's going to happen in the future? But I don't think lockdowns are in the future myself.
Okay. Okay, Tom. Thank you very much for introducing me to your band, right, Joel?
My pleasure. Yeah, I was happy to meet you.
Yeah, that's okay. Hopefully we shall see you guys somewhere soon playing an actual gig. Do you think that's possible?
That would be amazing. Yes. Well, I would love to. It'd be amazing.
In the meantime, I'll keep plugging away on the radio, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thank you, Dave. And thank you for your support and interest in our band.
No problem at all.
Thank you, Dave. It was a pleasure.